Welcome to the Age is Irrelevant podcast with your host, Helen Fritsch. Helen is a 60-plus lifelong competitive athlete, flight attendant, published fitness model, writer, IFBB bodybuilding pro, and certified wine specialist who believes that your age is irrelevant to pursue goals, dreams, and desires. Are you a woman in her 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who still has a burning desire to pursue a dream or a passion? Are you thinking about starting a new chapter in your life, but you're hesitant, thinking that you might be too old or just don't know where to begin? The Age is Irrelevant podcast is a podcast devoted to women who want to defy the odds, smash barriers, and redefine happiness and success after 40. It's time to make a difference. There is no need to dread blowing out that added birthday candle every year. A new movement is slowly taking momentum, where being over the hill just isn't relevant anymore. Age labels are being thrown out the window, and women are rediscovering the strength within themselves to make a difference, not only within their own lives, but also touching and inspiring the lives of other women. Join Helen as she and her guests discuss all aspects of aging after 40 and how to make the aging process and those twilight years more rewarding, exciting, and fun.
Hello and welcome to the Age is Irrelevant podcast. I'm your host, Helen Fritsch. This is episode number 71. Now today I'm interviewing 41-year-old Beth Bradley. Beth is a certified trapeze yoga instructor who resides in one of the most beautiful countries in the world, Spain. She lives down in the southern part of Spain in the Costa del Sol region in the city of Malaga. I have such fond memories of Malaga. My father had a timeshare there and I would go there on vacation every year. The ocean air, it was just, the whole area is just beautiful. The people are wonderful. The food and the wine, amazing. I have such fond memories. And I am excited to be able to go visit Beth sometime in the very near future. Now, the reason I had Beth on the show is not because she's a yoga trapeze instructor, but she hits all the boxes where I'm looking for women who motivate, inspire, and who are transformational. And she has something in every single one of those qualities. At a very young age of only 8 years old, she lost her father to suicide. And what transpired between then and up until her late 30s was pretty incredible, and how she was able to make a huge comeback and thrive to where she is today. It's just a story that needs to be told. I'm sure a lot of us may not have experienced something along that line, that tragic, but we've all experienced tragedies and heartaches and different hardships throughout our lives. And how we accept these circumstances and how we come out on top afterwards, and all the pain and the agony and the heartache in between, molds us who we are today. And to see Beth today thriving and happy, it just makes me happy. And I'm just anxious for her to share her story. And I know that you will love it. And so without further ado, here is my interview with Beth Bradley. Hi, Beth. Welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. For my listeners, I am talking to 41-year-old Beth Bradley. Now, Beth is a certified yoga trapeze instructor. She lives in the beautiful country of Spain, down on the coast in Malaga. My dad used to have a timeshare down there, so I'm very familiar with the area. I just love it so much, and I'm so envious and so jealous. But that's not why I'm having Beth on the show. My podcast is called Age is Irrelevant, and I want to have guests on the show who are inspirational, motivational, and transformational. And Beth hits all three. She has an amazing story, an amazing comeback story from being so down up to where she is today. And I just think that I felt that she needed to share the story, because a lot of us go through this, especially in the world today, what's going on today. So anyway, but I normally like to start off with the beginning. So tell me about your childhood, where you were born, where you grew up, and your likes, dislikes, and we'll just kind of work our way into the good stuff.
Thanks, Helen. Thank you. I'm just going to press record on my end. Is that okay?
Sure.
Is that right? Thank you. Okay. It says, please ask the host to give you permission. Is that all right?
Yes.
Just so I can get a nice video to share on my side as well. I should have asked you before, sorry. Okay. All right. So from the beginning, well, I grew up in the northwest of England, and I had a very normal childhood. I lived in an area where there were more sheep than people. It was really countryside. My parents were both very artistic and creative, and I had quite a normal childhood until I was 8 years old, and then my father had bipolar. It was called manic depression then. And so then there was a big stigma around mental health in those days. So it was difficult for people to get help. And he didn't want help himself, but my mother had tried to get help for him. Anyway, long story short, he drank a bottle of brandy and shot himself. He killed himself. So it was, I think it was, I don't know if he was an alcoholic. I don't really know the details, but it was probably the most horrific turning point of my childhood. And then from there, I just remember trying to do everything I could to stop feeling. And so I think my mum said I stopped smiling for a very long time, and I'm very smiley. So for me to not smile for a long time, and it's funny because I remember the day he died, like I'm better than I remember today. I can remember every single detail, but I blocked the next 4 years out of my memory. And so I can't remember what happened in the next 4 years until I became totally addicted to drugs and alcohol. And then everything's just so cloudy. It's like I just blocked everything. And the only coping mechanism I could have for this pain that I had of having this father figure ripped out of my life, the only person I trusted and my hero, that to have him ripped out of my life like that was just so traumatic. And so everything after that's really like blocked with whatever I had been. I was very athletic as a kid. I had always been sporty. I loved running. I loved racing. So I was very fit as a kid. But then, as you can imagine, as the drugs and the alcohol come in, the poor choices do, lack of sports. And then with that becomes lack of food, and then with alcohol, poor choices in food. And then it was just like this whole mess. I was like really skinny, and then I was chubby, and then I was back to being really skinny. And my body was just a yo-yo. And I was just, from my teen years until my mid-20s, so that's like a good 10 years, I was going from like looking like I was anorexic to being quite chunky and quite chubby. And so it was just this yo-yo, and everyone could see there was something clearly wrong with me because I would just be yo-yoing out of control. So when you said what the things I liked, what didn't I like? I loved to party. I loved to get high. I loved to escape from reality. I loved to numb any feelings. I remember once saying, I remember this so clearly because I remember at the time thinking, this is insane. I remember saying, I can't imagine my life without drugs and alcohol and parties. And like now I think I can't imagine my life with those things. And what didn't I like? I didn't like feeling. I just didn't like feeling. And so when I got into my late teens, early 20s, that became a food problem. So the drugs and the alcohol, it was just general self-sabotage. So like, I mean, how messed up can one person be? Drugs, alcohol, food, bulimia, anorexic. It was just, you name it, I had it. And it was just this whole self-sabotage, destruction. And I just didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I had no idea how to feel.
How was your family dealing with this?
My sisters and I don't really have a relationship. We all went our separate ways, really. It's a bit sad. But it was really, the hardest part for me was seeing my mum. Like, she's a really strong woman, and I'm very proud of what how she's brought up 3 girls, and she's living her life here in Spain, and she's living her dream. But it was hard seeing her hit the bottle, and she drank a lot. And it was really hard to see that. And of course, with the drinking comes, emotional instability and all the drama and chaos that goes with it. So it was really hard to go through that. But you'd think that kind of thing brings a family together, but it kind of tore us apart, really. I'm not close with my sisters at all, which is a shame. So actually, we don't really have a strong sense of family at all. But we're all close to our mum.
Oh, well, that's good. And where in Spain does your mom live?
She lives near Cordoba. It's just an hour drive, and she's really happy there.
Oh, good. That's awesome. So let's continue with your journey then. So you're in your early 20s, and you're having a great time. At least your definition of a great time. And so what happened, you're 41 now. So take us through your mid 20s to your late 20s. I mean, this just continuously just went on. How did you work during this time?
Yeah, I was in Japan. I lived in Japan for 11 years, and I was working as an English teacher. And I lived a very functional life. So even though all this madness was going in my life, I held down a very good job, and I lived my life very well. And it was only, it was just at the end of my 20s, beginning of my 30s, things started to really slip out of control. And I was waking up in the morning shaking, and I really needed to drink in the morning. And then I knew I needed help. And it was at the end of my 20s when I thought, oh my God, I can't do this. And I was suicidal. I called my mum from Japan, and I said, Mum, I need help. I'm shaking, I'm suicidal, and I can't, I'm out of control. And so my mum flew to Japan. She picked me up, she brought me to Spain, and she put me in a rehabilitation center here, because in Japan they were very expensive, and she wanted me to be close to her. So I came to rehab here in 2011, which was just after the tsunami happened in Japan. And I think that sent me, we couldn't work for 6 weeks because of all of the damage that had happened from the tsunami. I think that was also a kind of trigger that set me off. So then I came here to rehab, and I tried to start my life back again in Japan, fresh. So I went back for a couple more years, but the drinking just got worse and worse. And I just got larger and larger and larger, and I got very, very overweight. And then I just hated myself, because I felt really unconfident. I felt like I knew I was sporty when I was young, and I knew that that wasn't me. I was just it wasn't me, and I was so depressed. So in 2013, I came back to Spain, and I said, right, I need to start new. But I left my work behind in Japan, and I lost all sense of identity. So I came to Spain, and I had my kind of identity had gone, my party girl status had gone, and I started all over again. And it was and then the drinking got even worse. So in 2013, 14, 15, 3 years of heavy, heavy drinking, and I just kept eating, and all the food here is so oily, and patatas bravas, and it's olives, and oh my God.
So delicious.
Yeah. And I just ate, and I got up to like 90 kilos, which I know it doesn't sound a lot, but for someone, I'm 170, and now my weight's 55 kilos. It's almost double what I am now, and it just doesn't, it's not for my frame. So I was just it all sits on my stomach because I've got quite skinny arms and legs. So it was just like I was just round, and it all sits on my face. And so I was really depressed. I hated myself. I said that a few times. But anyway, so how did I get? So I came here, and in 2015, I was in a toxic relationship, quite a few, and I always chose enablers. I chose people who would allow my behavior, who would also engage in that behavior with me. And so it got to the point where my mum had enough, and she's like, right, I've had enough of you. You're like mid-30s. She said to me, if you don't change your life, you're going to be fat, 40 and fucking single. And I was like, oh my God. And I was 35, and I was like, and that really hit a nerve. And it was like, that was one of the turning points. And the next one, she said, right, you're going to the Costa del Sol, the coast, because there are AA meetings, there are Narcotics Anonymous meetings, and I'm going to put you in a flat, and you're going to go down there, and you're going to go to every meeting, and you're going to take a photograph outside the meeting, and you're just going to go. So she put me in a flat. She felt like she was enabling me, and I guess to some sense she was, because she would always pick up the pieces after every drama, after every fight, after every job lost. Because I tried doing a few jobs here, and I just would get drunk and turn up to work drunk and lose my job or make a fool of myself or create a drama. And I lost so many jobs when I got here, and it was just embarrassing every single time. So I managed to hold my jobs down in Japan. Each job I got here in Spain, I just lost. And that was soul destroying. So in a nutshell, I got down here to the Costa del Sol in 2018. I spent 2018 in and out of the AA and NA rooms. I relapsed 7 times in 2018. And then I just kept going around, and I thought, okay, I'm a serial relapser. How long is it going to take until I finally get this? And then in 2018, November 28th, I'll never forget this day. And it was the moment I felt like I just had enough. I was done. I didn't have another relapse inside of me. That was it. The rock bottom had become the foundation of the growth. And then from there, it's just sounds cliche, but since that day, which is soon going to be 3.5 years, every day is just, the first 3 months were hard, but after the 3 months were over, it's just been, the first year was just a dream. And I was like in honeymoon period, and my confidence grew, and I got into fitness, and I've just been riding a wave. And I just feel like if I could do this, who everyone thought was mentally ill, who was sick, who could never get, that sick girl who's never going to get well, if I could get free from this, I think there's hope for everybody. Because they say in the Alcoholics Anonymous rooms, they say some people will never get well. They're either mentally incapable or and I thought I was one of those. And so for me to be sitting here today and to be able to say I've recovered from eating disorders and cocaine addiction and alcoholism, it's just a miracle.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of your transformation, because we've met a couple of years ago, and you had me on one of your little shows, and I've been thinking about you, and I follow you on social media, and to see your transformation, it was just incredible. And it's interesting, because a lot of us go through times in our lives where we're stuck and we're in this situation that we know is bad, but we just don't have the strength or the mental capacity to get ourselves out of this situation. And it's like you get up in the morning, you look at yourself in the mirror, and like I remember certain times too when I was just like totally disgusted, and I just knew that I had to make changes. But it was just one of these things where you wanted to, but for some reason you couldn't. And then all of a sudden one day, it's just like flipping a switch. It's just like, I'm going to do it. And then it's just all of a sudden you do. And it's different for everybody, but it is amazing that you on your own could make that, because a lot of people need help in getting that way. I mean, you obviously are going probably still to AA meetings, but back then, who helped you? I mean, I know that you made the decision to stop, but did you bring in any outside help to help keep you focused and keep you on the straight and narrow?
That's a really good point. I couldn't have done this without the support of the people around me. So, of course, it has to really come from within. It's got to be that, right, that's it. That has to really be within you. But then you need a really, I would say at least one or two people you can really trust. A loved one, that could be a child, like of course, above 16, or like a child that you can trust. It could be a brother, a sister, a family member, or if you're in a relationship, a loved one's perfect because they will really support you. Ideally, if you're in a good relationship. So one or two family members is ideal. And then you need your professional support. There are Alcoholics Anonymous, or if it's another thing in your life, if you're somebody who has an alcoholic or an addict in the family, there are Al-Anon groups. Al-Anon are for people who are suffering from people who are alcoholics, or if you've been brought up in a family with alcoholic parents, there are some amazing groups. So you need some professional therapy, or if I think that's really important to have professional help and to have one or two people you can really trust, and good friends, really good friends. And you should have at least one or two people that you can call at any time of the day. In AA, we call these lifelines. Like, you can call someone at 4 o'clock in the morning if you wanted to. I mean, I've never had to do that, but you should have at least two numbers that if you really needed to, that if you're really stuck, you could call them at 5 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, and those kinds of friends. And I think to have that protection and to know that you can count on those friends, and invite vice versa, they know that they can count on you, so you don't feel like a burden. It's like this it's a shared thing, and you're probably never going to call them at 4 o'clock in the morning, but just to know that they've got you, it's just that feeling. So yes, a support group is, and your network, and to know everyone's got your back, and you don't have to suffer in silence. And I think that's a big thing. There's so much stigma around addiction, but let's face it, we all know within our circle, or within ourselves, something that we find addictive, or we know someone who has some kind of self-destructive behavior, or like, it could be negative thinking, it could be like not feeling confident enough, it could be being down on oneself. So we all have these self-sabotaging behaviors, and we need to, we don't have to like be ashamed of them. It's the way we are designed as humans. And if we talk about things more, we realize that everybody's like feeling, everyone's suffering from something, but we don't have to be ashamed of it. And it's important to, drop the stigma. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, one of the things I always preach in this show is that, community is key. And whether it's for something that you went through, or even if it's something that you were involved in with a hobby or a sport or anything like that, it's just, to have people surrounding you who will cheer for you when you're up and then help you get up when you're down. And I just think that's just so important. One of the things I love that you said is like the 3 best words ever, not I love you, but I need help.
Yes. This is like it's so important. So when I was in Japan and I picked up the phone and I said to my mum, I need help. Like, I think people are afraid to ask for help, but I've heard people in the rooms. When I say in the rooms, I mean in the AA rooms. And they say they were so afraid to ask for help. And it's almost like everyone's waiting for you, everyone knows there's something wrong, and they're just waiting. They're too afraid to say, do you need some help? Because they think that they're gonna, like, you're gonna attack them. But when someone's suffering from something, it's almost like everyone can feel it anyway. There's this kind of like, they're just waiting for you to ask for help. And it's almost like a relief for everybody when someone can ask for help. because otherwise everybody's treading on eggshells. And a lot of the people I know who have asked for help said, I can't believe how nice people were to me when I finally asked for help. It was such a relief. And it's amazing the way people respond to you when you do ask for help. And people welcome you with open arms and love. And generally people really want to help you because people understand what it's like. And in my experience, and to ask for help can be the difference between life or death, because
Absolutely.
If my dad had said that day or the day before, if he had said, I need help, then he may still be alive today. And I think with suicide, especially men, they're told, man up, be a man, boys don't cry. I think especially men, I think it's really sad that men are not encouraged to express their emotions, and I think that's really sad. But I think it's really important to be able to express oneself, no matter who you are. But I need help. So if anyone's listening to this now and it's like resonating with you, and there's something in your life that you're just scared of talking to someone about, think of who you really trust, somebody who doesn't judge you, somebody who doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, somebody that gives you lots of hugs. And just if there's something in your life that's really bothering you at the moment or really on your mind all the time, and I would say go to that person and tell them those 3 words, I need help. And you'll be amazed at the wonderful support and reaction you can get from people.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. And it is funny because I think over the course of our lives, you do hear about people that you know who have committed suicide. I remember when I was in high school, one of my classmates committed suicide, and he was a very popular kid. And all of a sudden it was just like, what happened? So, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. You never know what is going on in somebody's life. And just like you say, if someone takes their life, they're at a point where they just they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they just think this is it. Whereas if they were, strong enough to reach out for help, then, they still may be here today. So I agree with you 100%. So once you finally started on your path to being clean, what took you down the fitness route?
Okay, so I think there's such so the addictive personality and the need for routine, and so something you mentioned before about feeling, just backtrack a little bit. You mentioned before about people sometimes feel so stuck, and I was going to say that starting is the hardest part, and once you start and get going, it feels like you're unstoppable. Those first 2 minutes of the day, those first 30 seconds of the day when you open your eyes are the most important seconds of the day, because I'm sure we all know the feeling. You wake up and you go, snooze alarm, push it up, and then you have a terrible day. Like everything goes wrong. You spill your coffee, you put your t-shirt on back to front, or you can wake up and you go ping, and like you just go, right, what a wonderful day. It's the start of the week, like day Monday. I'm going to do a great strength training, and it's the mindset. And so this is what we talked about when I met you last time. You talked a lot about the mindset. I think your hashtag's mindset is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So fast forward to the question that you asked me, and you said, why did I get into fitness? So the link between mental health and fitness for me is just phenomenal. So the endorphins and serotonin and all these things that are released in my brain, they're very similar to the feelings that I had from the first initial rush from alcohol, but they're there's no horrible after consequence. So it gave me this high feeling. And then the consequences are a good body, and it was just so much nicer than waking up with a hangover. And then I could see the results, and my mind was feeling good, and I felt in control, and I had something to replace the part, like, I had something to replace all the partying with. And so I'd been going out to bars a lot, I'd been going out to parties, and then I had the yoga and the fitness to replace. So it was, if you remove one bad habit and you don't have anything to put in its place, it's so easy to fall back into that habit. Or to a lot of people, when they stop drinking or doing drugs, they gain a lot of weight because they take out that habit and they just start eating. And people say, I've stopped drinking, but I don't know why I'm not losing any weight. But there's lots of sugar that's in alcohol, so they just start eating a lot of sweets. But if you replace that with exercise, but it's got to be exercise you love to do. And I think that's why I loved the trapeze. For me, it was like kind of dynamic and a little bit acrobatic, and then yoga, so it was a bit spiritual. And so it kind of combined all those elements, and it really helped to bring my body and spirit and soul back in alignment with myself, because I think my physical and spiritual and emotional being was just all over the place. It was just scattered and scrambled. And so when I found fitness and yoga, I felt like everything just came into alignment, and I felt like I was who I was really supposed to be. And that's when everything started working, and it's like, wow, my business started to go really well, and I fell in love, and I started to get lots of money, and wow, it's like the law of attraction is all coming together. And so going from not being able to pay my rent for 4 months and almost being homeless to, being able to buy like a ticket for 2 on a cruise, and buying a sports car, and setting up my business, buying loads of equipment. And I'm just like, how is this possible in 1 year? That was in the space of 1 year. And of course, it's different now. We've had the coronavirus, and of course, it's not been that great since then. But just before that, I was in honeymoon phase. And so back to summarize what you said, the fitness aspect. I've just had a winter break for yoga, and I just did my first spring class today, and it was so good to be back. I felt like, I felt like I've been hibernating for the winter, and so it just feels so good to be back doing the yoga. So I really need that structure in my day, because without it, I feel like I can slip very easily into old habits. Well, not drinking habits, but like procrastination or overeating.
And so I have a couple of friends who do trapeze yoga. I mean, I am not flexible at all. I'm fascinated by it. I would maybe like to try it sometime. But so when you first what attracts people to your class? I mean, who comes in for the first time? I mean, why are they there?
Oh, that's a really good question. It attracts lots of different people. It attracts, I would say the most common client I have would be like women from their 30s to their 50s, and it attracts them for the stretching and toning, and also the sense of community. I feel like we all have a really good laugh, and it's fun. And also then it attracts a lot of older people, because it helps them to balance, and it's also a lot, contrary to popular belief, it's actually a lot easier than mat-based yoga, because the trapeze helps you to stabilize, so you can use it to support your weight, and it helps you to balance. You can hold on to it, and so you're not wobbling around. Whereas with mat-based yoga,
that's me.
That's me too. People don't believe me, but I'm actually terrible at balancing. So for me, when I do mat-based yoga, I'm the same. I'm like, people are like, you're a yoga teacher. Why are you wobbling, Bev? Yeah. I'm the same.
I know yoga is so good for you, and I've tried over and over to take yoga classes, and I'm freaking all over the place because I have no balance. And the poor yoga instructor is over by me half the time, just trying to hold me up or, reset me. It's quite comical. So
You would love it. There are these high handles that you hold on to, or there are the middle ones, and you hold on, and they just keep you really nice and balanced. And they also act as a kind of suspension training device, so people can also do strength training with them. They're also fantastic for doing supported squats. And I think everybody's favorite thing is the guided meditation at the end. It's like being in a giant cocoon, and it's just you could take a nap, you could sleep in there. But I think it's fun, it's dynamic, it's anti-aging, and going upside down is an experience you have to try. It's amazing.
I want to backtrack just for a quick second because there was a statement that you made that I loved, and I want to talk about this. You said, when I say free, we never really become free. We just learn coping mechanisms to live with the addictive behaviors. In my case, fitness and yoga have become my new addictions. That to me is a great mantra. It's just like, what a great statement to go from such a negative, dark place. And just like you mentioned earlier about once you get rid of one bad behavior, you need to replace it. And you replace it with this. And I know my guests, and my listeners can't see you, but I see you now, and like you're thriving. You have this aura about you. I see you on social media, and you're the same way. And so I know that this fills you up with so much joy. So, let's talk about that.
So there's the coping mechanism. So I'm an addict. A lot of people say that I shouldn't identify as an addict, but I am an addict, and I'll always be an addict, because if I take one drink, I'll be an alcoholic again. One drink is too many, and 1,000 is never enough. So I have to have strategies, coping mechanisms to deal with my addiction. This behavior has been in with me since I was a little girl. So the coping mechanisms for me are training almost every day. I have one day off, and the yoga and meditation. I need those. And even over the winter, I don't know if you've seen this, I was really skinny because I was like, last year I worked so hard. I overworked. That's also an addiction, work. So when I work, I really work. And I was like working, 14 hours a day. And I was just overworking and overtraining and not eating enough. And I was tiny. I was down to 49 kilos. I said, right, this winter, I'm focusing on me. It's all about me. And I've just relaxed. I've let myself eat whatever I want. And I've 55 kilos now, which is a healthy weight for me. And now I'm back to my yoga, and I'm just going to do everything balanced. So yoga and meditation is really important to me, and I'm going to get back into that now. But what I've been using as my coping strategies over the winter, gratitude, affirmations. I'm a big believer in what we say to ourselves.
That's huge.
It so is. Sometimes you can catch yourself going, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, why did I do that? And it's like, what is this voice? And it's like, and we should really acknowledge the little wins every day. So if you like do your washing, even just little things around the house. Oh, I did that, great. And you really like be your own best cheerleader every day. So I think, especially when you've come from something quite dark, I will congratulate myself on everything. And some people might think I'm a bit of a show off or really proud, but because I've come from such a dark place, I am my own number one cheerleader.
Well, and that's good, because you can be your number one cheerleader, or you can be your own worst enemy.
Yes.
And so, once you start to believe, the brain, follows your lead. And whatever you feed, whatever thoughts that you have, the brain wants to fulfill those thoughts. And if you continuously tell yourself that, you're stupid and that you can't do anything right and that you're not this and you're not that, or, whatever, the brain is going to try to fulfill that to make all that come true. So I'm a huge believer in affirmations. As a matter of fact, even when I get ready, like I'm in contest prep right now, I have a show in 8 weeks. And I'll have little notes around, like when I get up in the morning, kind of like you. I mean, I'm one of those people where the alarm goes off and I just jump out of bed. I don't need to linger. I'm like, okay, it's time to get up. But I'll have a note on my bathroom, mirror, and I'll have, whatever show I'm doing, whatever things I'm like, all these like 2 or 3 positive affirmations that I look and I read. I'll have something in my nightstand drawer that I know that I read before I go out. So if I'm dealing with a health issue, or, I had COVID back in December and that turned into pneumonia, and I'm still a little congested and had this lingering cough. But it's one of those things where I try not to get so focused on things I don't have any control over. So I'm a very proactive health nut, and I'm doing everything in my power to get well. But I'm just believing in the universe that it's going to happen, and I will get back to normal, and I will get my taste and sense of smell back. And everything is good, everything is positive, versus like, oh, woe is me, and why am I still congested, and why am I still sick, and this and that, whatever. I just thought, I'm not going to allow myself, my body, my mind to get into that tailspin, because once you start, it's really hard to get back up.
I totally agree, and they've done scientific studies, and we all know ourselves from our own experiences. Whatever we tell ourselves comes true. You believe whatever you believe, you receive. So if you think it's bad, it's bad. If you think it's good, it's good. So yeah, it's especially with everything and anything in life. And so I really. I'm not ashamed to admit that I congratulate myself all day long.
No, you shouldn't be. I don't think anybody, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast too, because, I've been a lifelong competitive athlete. And then finally in my mid 50s, I decided I really want to get in the best shape of my life. And somebody directed me towards bodybuilding. And at the time I'm working in a wine shop because I'm a certified wine specialist, drinking wine every day. And when I saw no wine, the sugar is going away, this diet is strict. And I was like, well, forget that. And I just shelved it. But, the universe, brought me back around 6 months later. And the next thing you know, I'm being talked into doing a show. So I start doing this show, but it's just one of those things where, you have to, it's what, how do I explain this? You just have to believe. You have to be like, okay, well, things don't come easy. Like what you went through, I can't even imagine, but it's just, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And for you to congratulate yourself on a daily basis, that's tremendous, because you should congratulate yourself from where you came. So, for women our age, 40, 50, 60, who all of a sudden look in the mirror one day and say, oh, my life's over. I'm 50 now. And I'm at the peak and I'm going back down the hill. It's like, absolutely not. Age is irrelevant in anything that you do. And for you to start over, this might be, Beth 2.0. I'm on Helen 3.0. I mean, during COVID, I just decided I'm moving to Scottsdale. So I was living in Charlotte and I have family here in Scottsdale. I've always wanted to move here. I've talked about it for years. I thought I sold my house and I moved. So now I'm on Helen 3.0. And I might be, when I turn 65 in July, and I might be on Helen 4.0 when I turn 70. I mean, I don't know, but I'm open and receptive. And I think that's the thing with women our age, that you get to a certain age and all of a sudden the peripheral vision starts to narrow. And the next thing you know, you've got these blinders on and you're going down this path and things become redundant and you get into this stagnant, very dull, boring routine and state. And then all of a sudden you don't look well. And then you're feeding yourself, oh, I don't feel well, this, that, woe is me. And then you start eating junk and crap, and then you're not moving. And then next thing you know, you have a gallon-sized baggie full of prescription pills that you're taking. So it's just, what you're doing, I think, is great. And I think that we as women, regardless of how big or how small our accomplishments are, we should congratulate ourselves every single day.
Exactly, totally. And when I say I congratulate myself every day, it's on the small things too. It's not just on those.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like, I made the bed. yay, high five to myself. It's like little things all the time. It's that constant flow of positive energy, and it all adds up, and it just makes the day wonderful and sets the tone for the day, for your week, for your life, and just the positive energy.
Well, and also too, with you being an instructor, I mean, being in fitness, and especially with me being in fitness my whole life, you go to the gym, you take a class, let's say, back, I would always take a lot. I don't take too many classes anymore, but I used to take a ton of classes. And when you would go, you would look at these instructors, and some of the instructors looked amazing, and you would aspire to be like them. And you're a role model. You have your clients come and take classes, and they aspire to be like you, which is amazing. So I just think that, that's another reason why you get up in the day. I mean, congratulate yourself on that people come to your class, not only to get in shape, but because they want to see you and they want to spend time with you.
Oh, that's a really lovely feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so life today in Malaga is great. And so you had a big move, you had a big transition not too long ago. You picked up and moved, and you were involved in a relationship, and that's, I think, over now too.
Yeah. I just wanted to change my life. So everything changed. So I had a relationship which helped me through my, he was with me through, I had a relapse one last time, and he was through me through that, and he supported me through my first year of sobriety, and he's actually my business partner and good friend now. So it's very amicable, and we're friends, and so there's no hard feelings there. And I'm just taking a year out, and I'm just gonna have focus on me, and just stay single for a while.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that. I've been single, for a while myself too, and I'm not going to settle. And especially with COVID now, things are starting to open back up. So I'm taking applications now.
I know, I'm interviewing too. Yeah. There's a very strict process.
So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, Beth, I just wanted to thank you so much. I think your story is really great, and I'd love. Especially I've interviewed other women, especially one stands out where she is in her 70s now, but she grew up in New Orleans. And so she also, she goes, I was in that New Orleans culture, and it was Mardi Gras every day, where she drank, she smoked, she ate poorly, and she became morbidly obese. And so she knew that she was sickened by, she looked in the mirror and she hated what she saw. And then finally one day, the switch was flipped because something happened with a granddaughter and this and that, whatever. And she was like, I have got to lose weight so I can, spend time with my granddaughter and play with her. And she started getting in the pool because she was taking her granddaughter to swimming lessons. And she started to lose weight, and she started to get stronger. And then she started eating better. And today she's a world ranked swimmer. And
wow, that's incredible.
And all her addictions are gone. She looks amazing. And she is like the USA national senior champion in her age group in swimming. And she's, placed really, really well in the world meets also too. So it's just like to see women like you both, and so many women out there even listening who have gone through maybe not as traumatic changes as you have, but even subtle changes, even little wins, little victories, just knowing that, it is possible, you can do it. And if you can't do it on your own, there's always help.
Yeah, definitely. And little steps every day make up to huge accomplishments, just one day at a time.
Well, I'm big on that too, is working out, because a lot of times women will get frustrated and they see their goal. People in general, the big joke is in January, the gyms are packed. And then in February, everything's back to normal, because people get too anxious and they want things too quickly. And I think that's just because of our society. We want it, supersized now. But yeah, it's just like you have a goal, but then just take those little baby steps to get to that goal and reward yourself along the way. I mean, even with me in contest prep, I'll work hard during the week, but then on leg day, or maybe let's say on Friday, it's like, okay, I'm having a burger and fries because I need to supplement my diet And that's my reward, So it's just little things like that make us happy and keep us going. And I have clients who have lost 20 pounds, 30 pounds, and hit milestones where one gal who was, she broke 200 pounds for the first time in like 20 years. So it just steps like that are so motivating. And so you've been really motivating to me just watching you from afar. So I can just imagine how motivating you are for people in person to know you and to know your story. So thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show.
Thank you so much, Helen. It's been a pleasure, and I will be in touch soon.
I hope so. And if I get down to Malaga, I love it so much down there. And we'll definitely, I need to come and take your class. That'd be super fun.
Oh, that's definitely a goal to work towards.
Yes.
That would be a dream come true. We have to make it happen.
All right. There's an 8-hour time difference. So it's almost 9. What is it? Yeah, it's almost 9 o'clock there, right?
10 to 9.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, well, have a great evening. And I'm sure I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Good
Take
night.
care. Good night.
Bye.
I sure hope you enjoyed that interview with Beth. I can't even imagine how hard it must have been for all of those years to be literally holding herself prisoner in such a confined state of addiction. And not only that, but the grit, the determination, and the drive it must have taken for her to get help and become free of that lifestyle, only to fall back into the same trap at a later point. Here are a couple of takeaways I took from our chat. Number 1, Beth said that when you remove one bad habit, you need to replace it with something else. I think that is such a profound statement because there are so many of us who remove bad habits and don't replace them with something else, which may eventually lead us back to our bad habits. Stop smoking, stop drinking, stop eating junk food, don't eat sugar, stay away from desserts, are just a few examples of things that people struggle with. Yet when we do stop eating junk food, stop drinking, or completely stay away from desserts, for example, and not replace it with better choices, then we sometimes become obsessed and so focused on missing these things that we can't help but give in to the demands that our mind is urging us to take back up. Let's face it, life is painful, and there isn't any person alive that's exempt from trials and tribulations of life. Whether your drug of choice is alcohol, chocolate, television, social media, sugar, or any catalyst to your feel-good hormones, it serves to divert attention temporarily from life's difficulties. It's then that we are at the mercy of these temporary diversions with no tools to actually process and transform what's troubling us. We actually paralyze ourselves from moving forward, and that transient pain turns into lasting pain and suffering. It's difficult to rewire bad habits, but the more we train the mind to focus on what's right, the more things will fall back into place. And as Beth mentioned, she is forever grateful for the community that has helped her where she is today, because sometimes we just cannot get to where we want to be all on our own. Beth congratulates herself every day on the littlest things. Each step towards mental, physical, and emotional health is a gift to your future self and a thank you for being alive. And number 2, Beth also said, whatever you believe, you receive. The mind is so powerful, and one of the worst negative influences may be your own self-talk. So many people are overly critical and can actually talk themselves out of pursuing their own dreams and goals. And on the flip side, the more positive you become, the more you'll exude happiness and peace. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with upbeat people and a community that supports you in good times and in bad. If you have hobbies or interests that fill you with a sense of calmness and well-being, then incorporate your time, or actually increase your time participating in these practices, and don't let negativity take over your life. It can easily become a vicious downward spiral. Beth experienced so much negativity because I feel she may have believed she deserved where she was. Most people are stuck in negative situations because they feel that they need or deserve to be there. So believing that you are rightfully deserving to be happy and lead a fulfilling life should always be at the top of your agenda. I know now it is for Beth. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please share it with your friends, with your family on social media. If you can relate to it or you know somebody else who can relate to Beth's story, share it with them also. And if you like this podcast, please go over to iTunes and give me a 5-star review and rating. That would be awesome. I would greatly appreciate that. If you want to get a hold of Beth, you can find her on Facebook at Beth Bradley and on Instagram at sober_transformation. If you're ever in the southern part of Spain in the Costa del Sol down in Malaga, you should definitely look her up and take one of her yoga trapeze classes. And I think she also hosts retreats too. And there's a link in her bio for that information. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can find me at ageisirrelevant.com. And my email would be helen@ageisirrelevant.com. And until next time, don't ever forget, age truly is irrelevant. Bye-bye.